Today on the Nerdy Gritty, a new League of Legends character named Seraphine has recently caused a stir with her marketing strategy.
One more world disappears inside it. Just another hopeless addict. Well, they make a man instead. If the drums don't get you, the guitars will.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Nerdy Gritty, where we delve deep into the details of pop culture. I am your local tank, Dez.
And I'm your jungler, Fox. What we're talking about today, in part, is the fake/real K-pop band called KDA.
Right, at least that's part of what we're talking about.
Yeah, part of it. That's involved. And it got us thinking, what other game characters, what other game casts, it could be different games, whatever, should form a band.
Right.
What would work well?
I'm
going to start us off with what I think is the most obvious. Why has this not happened already? Like, legitimately kind of shocking that they wouldn't do this. And that is that the boys from Final Fantasy 15 have not started a late 90s pop boy band. Why is that not a thing?
There's the bad boy, the smart dapper guy.
That's what I'm saying, is that they
perfect.
legitimately seem to have been designed to be like those archetypes in a boy band. I don't get it. Why are they? You got the main one, but he's also like the mysterious, and then you got
the lead.
You got the beefcake
The
one,
big buffy
never
bad
wears
guy.
an actual shirt.
That's right.
Yeah,
and then there's the dapper smart guy.
Right,
and then
right.
There's fun.
Then there's fun
cool
goofy guy. Yeah,
absolutely.
Like, that just makes the most sense in the world, and I don't understand.
That's a really good
why
one.
there has. I mean, I bet there's like a fan creation or something. But come on,
That's got to be absolutely. Mine was another one that I generally want this to happen. It's a real thing. Okay, have you heard of like Iron and Wine, the band?
I love Iron and
They're
Wine.
fantastic. I want Dandelion and Geralt to make just a duo group, just some like real chill stuff. Just Dandelion on his lute, and then he and Geralt harmonizing together.
Sure,
just singing like ballads.
I think
and things
maybe.
like that.
I mean, maybe Geralt, but definitely Ciri could do. Ciri, I could see like joining in.
No, okay,
some
no,
vocals.
I'm changing my mind already.
There is the other bard in the the female one in the anyway.
Games. I haven't played the game, so I don't know.
Sure.
Okay, let's include Ciri and Yennefer, and now they're a
bluegrass
mid-90s
band.
No, they're a mid-90s sync rock band with Yennefer as the lead singer in her like black dress and whatnot.
Bring me to life. But she could, because she's like a she could use.
She could definitely do that.
Spells and All right. Well, let's get into the news. What's going on?
Well, you know that Fantastic Beasts franchise that was extremely popular, has been extremely popular for a while.
Right.
Rave reviews.
I'm just calling it Beasts and Where to Find Them now, because it has not become very
Beasts
fantastic.
and Where to Find Them.
Pretty good at the start, Beasts and Where to Find Them, but they kind of fell apart.
Exciting but ultimately disappointing Beasts and Where to Find Them. Well, unfortunately, Johnny Depp has been forced to exit the Fantastic Beasts franchise.
Sure.
I've got an article here from Variety. Johnny Depp will no longer portray the dark wizard Gellert Grindelwald in the Fantastic Beasts film franchise, the actor announced on Friday. Looks like he was, and amicably, but asked to step down.
Yes, he put out a statement on Twitter or whatever saying, hey, this is what happened.
Yeah, I wish to let you know that I've been asked to resign by Warner Brothers for my role as Grindelwald on Fantastic Beasts, and I have respected and agreed to that request.
Yep.
So, if I read this correctly, and if I remember correctly, there was a libel case that he had began in Europe, and he lost that case.
Yeah.
And essentially what the loss was, they said a newspaper called him a wife beater.
Oh, yeah.
And
against the Sun, I think.
And he filed suit for libel. So the question is that an appropriate thing to call him, or is it a lie? And the courts essentially said, no, it's an appropriate thing to call you. It's not a lie.
Man.
And therefore it comes down to be like, oh, well, then no.
Man, this is like... There's still the question of whose side do you want. The internet is still divided on
right.
this.
I mean, it was a toxic relationship altogether.
I am not interested in getting into the details of that relationship.
Right,
I don't want to talk about that. What I'm saying is that this is like the most clear-cut, like, there's literally a legal case deciding that, hey, let's cancel this guy.
Absolutely.
Like, whether or not you agree, like, that's like, a lot more than a lot of cancellations have had as ammo in the past. Let's move on. Everybody's favorite. What's everybody's favorite gaming-related company?
Nintendo.
Gaming-adjacent company. No. Their favorite.
Oh, their favorite.
Their favorite one. The best one.
EA.
No. The really great one that everybody loves to shop at still.
Oh, GameStop.
Yeah,
There
everybody's
it is.
favorite one that we
That
haven't
one.
done
Gaming
several
retailer.
episodes about how they're not great.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you saw this, but they announced a company-wide TikTok dance contest.
Oh no.
The winners of which will receive bonus hours on Black Friday.
Wait, what?
There is a
the bonus hours. So are you saying that they're going to open for a specific amount of time just for the winners to go shop?
No.
This is for employees.
This is for employees to work extra hours. This,
Why?
my friend, is what's called peak capitalism. This is literally the company allowing its employees to dance for the right to work for more money. Luckily, I looked it up again this morning just to review, and it has been canceled. The backlash was swift and fierce, and they said, "Ooh, yeah, that's a bad one, huh? We'll not do that, I guess." But this was a thing that they decided was something that they should do, was to do a TikTok dance competition, and the best crew at a store or whatever would be allowed to work more hours on Black Friday weekend.
Hey, Fox.
Yeah.
What have you been up to, man?
I've watched a lot of movies.
Yeah, well, you and I both have been watching a lot of
I've
stuff.
watched a lot of movies.
Yeah.
Let's get it right off the bat, and I don't know if you were planning on talking about it, but we watched McFarland
I
USA.
was going to talk about it. Yes, I watched it twice.
You watched it twice. This was for work. It was tangentially related to what we do. It was teaching, essentially, student management to a certain extent. We're bus drivers. But this was, here's my review. It was an inspirational sports movie.
It was exactly that. And it was a good one. There are bad ones.
This
one is a good one.
This was, if we're going binary, bad or good, it was good.
Yeah.
But it was if we're going like 1 to 10, 5 being average, it was exactly a 5.
Yeah.
It was just the most average, like, plug in the nouns into your Mad Lib of okay, the sport is track. The sport, or here's the inspirational speech. Just plug in that there at the end. Here's the adversity they overcome. Let's plug that in right there. And it just was nothing interesting.
Absolutely. I will say that there was an emotional hit for me.
For you, a lot more than me.
Yeah, mostly a Latino culture. In fact, exclusively Latino culture.
Right.
And there was like a quinceañera.
Yeah.
And there was a big tamale making party and things like that. And oh man, really hit my nostalgia.
Yeah.
And that was really awesome.
Yeah, like I said, did a good job doing that. But as far as like the writing of the movie goes, perfectly average. I have watched several movies this week. I watched yesterday.
What did you watch?
Well, I did watch a couple movies yesterday, but I also watched the movie yesterday.
This is the one where the dude wakes up and nobody's ever heard of the Beatles, right?
He's riding home on his bike and gets hit by a bus, and while he's knocked out, all the power in the world goes out for 12 seconds. And then he wakes up, and all of a sudden, the Beatles have never existed. But he still remembers them. So the actual plot is he starts using their music to become a world famous like songwriter.
Musician, yeah.
It was fun. It was fun to watch. It was a 7 out of 10. Where it's like, okay, cute, family friendly for the most part, like a family fun movie. Like, there's not really much dramatic conflict. There's interpersonal. It's more of like a romantic kind of comedy with just this idea of the Beatles not existing and him using it. There were like during the whole movie though, I was thinking the Beatles have incredible songs. But would She Loves You, Yeah, Yeah, Yeah really hit as hard today as it did in the 60s?
0%.
Absolutely not.
I remember seeing that trailer and thinking to myself, the Beatles kind of created a genre that didn't really exist before, and that's why they were so huge and so popular. Today, they've been copied 100 million times, and so if those copies still exist, but they never did, and you tried to come out and make that music, you would just...
Some of their songs would still be lauded as incredible. Like,
Yes.
Come Together, still a great song. Like, lots of really great songs. I don't think that if the Beatles somehow didn't exist and started today, they would have the same level of, like, world-famous, legendary band.
No, I definitely don't think so. I binged the entire series of Blood of Zeus.
Oh.
So it's a new anime from the makers of Castlevania that is on Netflix, a Netflix original anime. And it's it starts out saying that there were thousands of Greek myths and stories, and many of them were too bold and too crazy to be written down, so they were only transferred by word of mouth. And then over time, they were lost forever. This is one of those stories.
Which is probably true.
Yeah, it probably is true. This is not one of those stories. I guarantee you.
Oh.
I won't spoil why,
Okay.
but I promise you this was not one of those stories.
All right.
But what I will say, it was a good Greek tragedy. It was, the art was beautiful. It was engaging. It was exciting. I enjoyed a lot of it. The thing, I did struggle with one big thing though, and that was the main character. Maybe it was me, but I just did not identify with this person at all.
Okay.
He seemed aloof.
Was it
He
a person
seemed-
from Greek mythology or just some
No.
some other person?
Yeah, just
a
created for
character?
this. Yeah,
Gotcha.
And he was a demigod, as
As they
they
most-
always are.
Yeah.
yeah.
Zeus and something random in the world. maybe a sentient creature, maybe
Yeah,
not.
Fingers crossed.
Maybe a human.
Zeus
Maybe
just-
not.
Man,
Yeah.
that dude.
Let's move on.
Yeah,
He did his thing.
he did. The problem was
Did
his
a
thing.
lot of things.
Anyway, the main character was almost too archetypal, I think is what it was.
Okay.
He had his motivation and he had his goal, and that was it for his character. I don't remember him ever laughing or smiling or joking or crying or doing anything other than his kind of one-dimensional motivation.
Gotcha.
And I don't even remember his name. There's a antagonist, and the antagonist was a very well-rounded, really cool character, really good villain, in the same way that you understand them entirely,
Okay.
and in a way you can kind of understand why they're doing things.
All right.
But the main character, to me, he did not seem interesting to me, and it really, really was a detriment to the show as a whole.
I watched V for Vendetta. It was November 5th yesterday.
Right.
Went over to a friend's house and watched V for Vendetta. Every time I watch it, I'm struck by how pretty good it is. It's a fine movie. It's a little...
You're gonna get in a fight with people if they listen to this and you don't say it's fantastic.
No, I appreciate. It's not fantastic. I appreciate the movie. I think it lets the message overshadow the characters a little bit. Where this is a movie about the concept of, you know...
Yeah, the movie is about the message.
It is. Exactly. That's what I'm saying, is that I would like it if the characters were a little more well-rounded. Like, obviously, Evie is great.
Yes.
She's great. I wish there was a little more for V. A little bit. I don't know. What I'm saying is that I think it's great, and also this might be coming from the fact that I have read the book several times, read the comic series
Right.
it's based on. It takes some liberties with the concept of what the comic series is about. Kind of changes the idea of anarchy into democracy a little bit, which I can very much understand Alan Moore's like resentment of it then,
Yeah.
because it's kind of fundamentally just changing the whole steez that it's going for.
I watched Willow. It's
Okay.
on Disney Plus. This is
I have never seen Willow, but
You've never seen it?
I know it as like a kind of a meme.
It's the 80s sword and sorcery, high fantasy.
Right.
Val
Kilmer, right?
Kilmer and not Kenny Mayne. Oh, dang
Kenny
it.
Baker.
What?
Who am I thinking of?
No, Warwick Davis.
Warwick Davis.
Warwick
Right.
Davis
Kenny
is the
Baker
one.
is from Star Wars.
Right. So, it is. I'm trying to pick of the right words here, because honestly and truly, it's a fine movie. It's good. Overall, I would give it a 6.5 out of 10.
Okay.
But if you just let yourself have fun with it, it's a 9 out of 10. If
You're not selling it to me.
Or if you don't be too critical, the reality of the matter is nobody is a great actor in this movie. Nobody's a great actor in this movie, but the writing is good enough to make up for the bad acting.
Okay.
The writing is clever. The whole thing is camped. They don't take themselves seriously.
All right.
It's fun and
got that.
adventurous. And if you just accept okay, they're not great actors, man. And you know what? I'm going to get over it and I'm going to deal with it. If you can just accept that, it elevates the movie
All right.
hugely. And it is so much fun.
Last one, though, which I really enjoyed, Doctor Sleep.
Oh, I've been wanting to watch
the sequel to The
Shining.
Was, I'm going to be honest here, I might have enjoyed it more than The Shining.
Really?
I might have
Is it
appreciated...
still Stanley Kubrick?
No, this
No?
is the one that
Okay.
came out last year. Stanley Kubrick died
Oh, yeah. a while back.
decades
That's
ago.
right.
Like
I'm
early
dumb.
90s. No, it was a Steven...
Hey, you never know.
This is the new conspiracy. Stanley Kubrick's actually dead or alive, and he came back to make Doctor Sleep. No, okay. Here's what I appreciate about it. It is a Stephen King written story. It's not just something created.
I'm going to interrupt you for a question. You say you might like it better than The Shining. Is that because this movie is that good, or because The Shining you don't think is good as other people think?
No, I love The Shining. It's not this. They are both scary in the same way, more like psychological thriller, not really like scary compared to what you would call horror today.
Right.
It's not jump scares or anything in it, really. It's more just kind of. But I do appreciate thematically. I think it accomplished more. Because this movie, I don't want to get a lot into the plot, but essentially what happens is that Danny Torrance, the little boy from the first one, the son, is grown up, and they treat what happened at the Overlook Hotel like a traumatic experience he had, and he grows up drinking, trying to forget what happened, and the movie is about him overcoming a traumatic experience and breaking free from these things that drown out his feelings and his thoughts and not actually deal with them.
Yeah.
On the surface level, it's about a group of like psychic vampires who find people with the Shining and take it from them and feed off of it for immortality.
Oh,
It's
interesting.
so different than The Shining.
Yeah, no
It's
kidding.
much more like fantasy-ish.
Yeah.
But what it really is about thematically is Danny Torrance starting to use this traumatic experience and this thing that has plagued him his whole life, this Shining that has been a detriment to him, in a way that helps against this group who is feeding off of the trauma of others and using it using people to, like, they are addicts trying to sustain their own addiction.
So I watched Inside Out again for the first time in a long time last night.
Okay.
And it's an incredible film. I'm just going to say that we laud The Incredibles a lot.
Yeah.
And
My favorite Pixar.
right. I'm going to say Inside Out is up there for me.
Okay.
It really is, almost with that. It's got a 94 Metascore.
Wow.
Which is just top notch.
Yeah.
So go watch Inside Out again. If you've never seen it, absolutely watch it. But go watch it again if you haven't seen it in a while. But all that being said, what I want to hit on last here is my wife and I did a Halloween movie marathon. Just cute family. But
not the
scary
Halloween movies?
No, not the Halloween
There are like
movies,
9
no.
of them now. It's a long marathon.
So we watched Haunted Mansion, Sleepy Hollow, and Frankenweenie.
Interesting.
So Sleepy Hollow, to me, it's a classic Tim Burton-esque type film. I don't know if Tim Burton actually... No, he did. So Sleepy Hollow is a Tim Burton film starring Johnny Depp and Christina Ricci.
That is definitely a Tim Burton movie.
film.
Yes.
And I love that movie so much. It's one of those that I understand if other people don't like it a lot. It's a good,
I think it's a little bit of a cult movie.
Yeah, it is. It's a good film. It is. It's an objectively good, not a fantastic, but a good
fine,
film. Yeah. But as somebody who just loves Burton and
That's
his
right in
style-
your wheelhouse.
Oh my gosh, it's so good.
A 90s Tim Burton movie is you.
It is. It really is. But I think what I love most about it is just how well Johnny Depp plays this well-meaning coward. He is a coward the entire movie, but he wants to be heroic. He wants to be good, and he's so funny in the role. It does a great job just playing that. So well done, Johnny Depp there. Haunted Mansion is starring Eddie Murphy.
Yep.
And it's not great. There you go, guys.
It's just a
not great.
dumb family movie.
It's a movie that, in all honesty, could have been fine, but Eddie Murphy's antics just takes it down. And I don't know if it was the directing or
An Eddie Murphy vehicle.
Right. I don't know if they told him to be that goofy or weird or dumb, or if that's just how he played the character or what, but his character brought the movie down a little bit.
So you're saying out of all the movies based on Disneyland rides, there's one good one and one bad one.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you go that direction, yes. Movies based on rides. There are rides that are based on very.
There are
good
lots of
movies,
rides based
but-
on movies, but
yeah.
movies based on rides.
So anyway, the last one that I really want to talk about though is Frankenweenie, and this is one that I saw once, probably when it came out, and I haven't watched it again since
Okay.
then. I forgot how good this movie is. It is delightful homage to that sci-fi black and white monster movie. There is reference to kaiju. There are reference to a creature from the Black Lagoon.
Gotcha.
Reference to obviously Frankenstein. But at the same time, there's the idea of loss and the importance of family pets and love and things like that all throughout the movie. It is a great movie. It really is a
Okay.
surprisingly good film. And like most Burton stop motion animation, it's a shorter film. I think it's like 80 minutes long,
Yeah.
something like that. So one that you can take in a short chunk and just watch it and enjoy it. So go
And it's
watch
the
Frankenweenie.
first in the
It's the first in
the Dead Dog Burton trilogy.
Right. It's Frankenweenie, then
Corpse Bride.
then Night Before
Nightmare.
Christmas. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
All
That's
right.
it for me.
Yep, same here
All right, let's get down to the nitty gritty.
for sure.
But first, if you're listening to this right now, that means that you're listening to an edited version of the Nerdy Gritty. That means that before this, we have cut it down to make it just a little bit more palatable. If you're cool with that and you like listening to that short intro and then the full Nerdy Gritty after this because we never edit the second part, then great. We appreciate your support. Hey, tell a friend about it. Go tell someone about the Nerdy Gritty. But if you want to hear more, we talk like four different news articles every time.
Yep.
We go on for a while about the things we've been into, and there's a lot that we talk about that gets edited out. If you want to hear the full director's cut of the Nerdy Gritty, you can head over to patreon.com/DesandFox, and at our second tier or higher, you get access to the director's cut of the Nerdy Gritty. Now, I understand if some people cannot donate at all. Again, word of mouth is huge. Tell your friends. But if you can spare that $5 a month, we really appreciate your support. Or even for the $1 a month below that, you get all of our Patreon exclusive content, like my playthrough of Hades. Once I finish it, it's going to go up in one big chunk on there, or it'll be slowly coming out on YouTube. Fox has a bunch of exclusive content on there right now. All kinds of things like that. So go check out our Patreon. One more time, that's patreon.com/DesandFox. Thanks, guys. Now let's really get down to the Nerdy Gritty.
So our topic today needs a little bit of kind of background information here.
Yeah.
There's something called video games. That's too
Wait.
far back. Okay.
Hold on. Wait, what?
Wait, hold on. You lost me. All right. So there is a game called League of Legends. You probably know that if you are at all, if you know about the video game. It's a
adjacent.
very large game, very big game,
Yeah.
very popular. In that game, there are dozens, if not hundreds, of different characters you can play as, and 4 of those characters they have turned into a K-pop band called KDA, and this is in the vein of Gorillaz or the metal band Death Clock, Mitsune
Miku.
Yes, thank you. A digital avatar or avatars with actual music performed by actual people
Right.
behind them. So this band KDA has become very, very popular. I actually, in preparation for this, listened to some music, watched the videos. It's not my deal. I'm not a K-pop fan, but I could, like, if you told me that this was just another K-pop band and not actually related to whatever, the whole digital thing wouldn't even faze me. It's like,
Yeah.
I understand K-pop, whatever. They've become very, very popular, pretty huge. All of it was essentially a way, although they are getting into more musical aspects, Riot Games, who makes League of Legends, they have intentions of making more music, like as a side thing, basically.
Interesting. I know that.
A lot of KDA was essentially a way to market some new skins for some
Right.
premium $10 skins, purely aesthetic skins. Very successful. I'll tell you
Yes.
that. People bought it. I was looking at YouTube comments, and a lot of people are like, I love this band. I've almost bought all the skins. It's like, cool. That's how you want to spend your money. That's great. what we want to talk about today is actually kind of some controversy that has come up around a new League of Legends character that is now related to KDA in a way. This new character is called Seraphine.
By the way, I just looked it up. KDA stands for Kill
Death
Assist.
Assist. Yeah.
Yeah.
K/DA is the band name.
Yeah.
So Seraphine is a new character, and they have really gone all in on creating her as a person for her marketing campaign. She has her own dedicated social media accounts on Twitter and I think Instagram as well, and she is being portrayed as a real person in the real world and also a big KDA stan, as the kids say. And they uploaded a song of her cover of KDA's popular song Pop Stars. And in the fiction here of this story that they're telling, KDA saw that and said, "Hey, do you want to come record with us?" So essentially in all of this, they just followed the YouTube star finds success with a band kind of thing. Really interesting, actually, how they're kind of marketing this character.
This is all, again, to be clear, this is all outside of the game.
This is all outside of the game.
None of this has anything to do with the game itself.
In the game, she is just another character that you can play as with skins and whatever. I don't know what her style of play is.
Let's be really clear about League of Legends is what's called a MOBA.
A MOBA,
which means you pick a character and then it's like you battle.
It is a massive online battle arena.
Brawler. Yeah.
I can't remember. That might have been completely wrong. But anyway, lots of characters. They all have their different play style. They all have their different moves. And she is another one of those. This is all purely the marketing for her.
Right.
So in this process of creating this marketing campaign, there's been some controversy in the fact that she has actually started sharing some of her anxieties and talks about how she suffers from imposter syndrome. And this is all, at the end of the day, a way to market League of Legends, and more specifically, skins for League of Legends and this character.
Again, to be clear, if you don't know what imposter syndrome is, it's just kind of like an anxiety struggle that people have where if they are finding some sort of acclaim or some sort of
popularity or success.
Yes. That they suddenly start believing that they don't deserve this.
Right.
And they're worrying and stressful about the time that everyone else will recognize this as well.
Right, yeah.
That they'll find out that they're not who everybody thinks they are. They're an imposter.
Right.
And they don't deserve this notoriety or acclaim or success.
Which is a very real thing. It's a very real thing.
Absolutely,
this is not something that they invented for the character. And so, in response to a lot of that, I'm looking at a tweet here. They created basically a corkboard with a bunch of tweets from real people that included encouragement for this again fictional character, but from real life people. And there has been some negative backlash regarding what some people consider to be using real life mental illness in a marketing strategy to sell video game skins and a character and whatever. That's really been the thing there. There's been some people, let's see. I'm trying to find some specifics here just to give some context. Golden Guardians Academy, which I believe is part of like a League of Legends team or train or something like that, has tweeted something about a marketing account using self-doubt and mental health to come across as relatable is Sag capitalism. I don't know what that means, but clearly a negative take on yeah, this is a negative thing, this is bad. Somebody else said this is frankly blank disgusting, this is messed up, using mental health struggles and crises as a marketing ploy. Any user who replied with encouragement was also met with another reply noting that Seraphine wasn't real. There's been a really back and forth thing. Now, to be clear, we're going to get into talk about this. I'm taking up a lot of time here. There have been a lot of people who have said good things about this, or just that, well, no, it's just trying to connect with people, you know? So we don't need to get into that. We're going to actually talk about that probably. So let's get into just this. What are your thoughts, just on the outside here, your thoughts regarding how they've used mental illness as a marketing technique, as some people would say?
Man, I am torn on this.
Same Z's.
Really, really torn on this because on one side, what I want to say is finding somebody that is famous or of note or whatever else that has the same struggles as you do really helps them seem more manageable to you.
Yeah.
And or even just if we go like seeing somebody who's a person of color and you're that like, who looks like you or thinks like you do.
Sure.
But they're also famous. It helps you feel more included, helps you feel normalized. It helps you feel like what you have isn't this debilitating thing that you're entirely alone with. It means that, hey, somebody else is dealing with this. Maybe you can too.
Yeah.
And so even just creating a character that shows that can help people in a lot of ways. But on the other hand, my immediate thought is this isn't real. None of this is real. And if you're fabricating supports or if you're fabricating this, is it still a good thing? What happens if they decide to nerf this character or even just take him out entirely? What if the balance is way too far off in the video game and they want to introduce more characters and this one's less popular, so they just decide to literally just delete this character from their list? What's that going to do to people who thought this human was, or thought this computer character was real? Maybe not literally thought it, but felt it. Or the fact that they're taking a mental illness and exploiting it almost. Man, I'm legitimately torn.
There's definitely, I can definitely understand both of those concepts of fictional characters have been used for a long time. That's kind of what art is
Yeah.
we look at the human experience through a fictional lens, you know? That's what, like, I literally at the beginning of or early in the episode talking about how this fictional character of Danny Torrance is being used to look at the mental illness of addiction and traumatic experiences.
Yeah.
You know, I think what the main problem here for a lot of people is the fact that this is not simply a storytelling technique or just like, you know, this is at the core, their purpose behind all of this is selling skins. It's a marketing technique.
Right.
That all of this is, they're not just trying to, it's not marketing for a book about this character or a movie. It's marketing for, you can play as this character and buy her skins, which are functionally useless and cost $10, you know, like
right.
they are, it is. And so I go back and forth on that too. It is there. I can understand both. I don't think either camp is completely like in the clear on it's fine or it's entirely bad.
Because at that point, if it's exclusively to sell skins, if you're going to say that this is exclusively to sell skins, there are a million ways that you can sell skins.
Sure.
But this is a way that you can sell skins and maybe identify with some people. Or maybe create somebody that other people are going to feel more confident about themselves because this fictional character exists and things like that. And so really you say that it's just to sell skins, but there are a million ways to sell skins.
Mm-hmm.
I think the goal is more than that.
Okay.
I really do think that that they have more in mind than just this. But again, my question is does that make it okay?
Sure.
Because if I almost wonder if we're getting into token aspect here, like, you know, token black character in an 80s movie or whatever, you're kind of exploiting that to reach a demographic.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's part of this. Are you exploiting mental health to reach a demographic of people online who struggle with mental health?
Right. Yeah, I again definitely understand that line of reasoning. Like, that makes sense to me. I do want to shine a light here. I'm reading from an article on Polygon by Julia Lee. While KDA's campaign was run by creative director Patrick Morales, all of Seraphine's tweets were written by Bethany Higa. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Higa used her own experiences to craft Seraphine's story, making them relatable, but maybe a bit too relatable. This is from her. Honestly, I wrote a lot of that story based on my own experience as a young woman coming to Riot. It's like Riot Games, the creator of League of Legends. It's like one of my first jobs after college. I personally experienced self-doubt. I personally experienced imposter syndrome and all those things. Higa said, the intention behind the story was to show that sense of hope, that sense of persistence, and show her growing in confidence and overcoming those struggles and those fears that she might have. That really sways me on a level of, there is a lot of stuff. There are a lot of, if we're going to apply the fact that there is a capitalistic salesmanship part of this, and that makes it not okay, that has to be applied to a lot of things.
Yeah.
Are you going to bring, if we're gonna, Dr. Sleep, I guess, is gonna be my example, but there are more than likely Danny Torrance pop figures out there. Are we going to bring that same energy toward Dr. Sleep, saying Dr. Sleep is exploiting mental illness and addiction illness and all that to sell pop figures? Like, are we going to bring that same energy there? Do we now need to apply this to everything that has any kind of merchandise that also uses some kind of mental or, psychological distress in its plotting, in its character creation?
I'm going to contradict myself here because I'm still literally arguing this in my head, but I think there's a difference there in that Danny Torrance pop figures are selling because of the movie. The movie does not exist to sell the pop figures. The movie is its own piece of art.
Maybe it does, though.
Well, then they worked really hard to make
That's a lot of effort
film.
to sell some pop figures.
Whereas in this, if this fails and they sell no skins because of this, they will never do it again.
That's true.
The goal is to sell.
The goal is to sell.
This exists to sell. The skins don't exist because she is popular. They want her to be popular to sell skins.
Right. League of Legends is a free-to-play game.
Right.
They make their money through in-game purchases, and a lot of that are cosmetic. And so, yes, they are, at the end of the day, a company trying to sell. They are still telling stories through their characters. I'm sure this isn't the only character who has had some kind of story element to their personality. Or I'm sure they all have backstory at some point. I'm wondering, I wonder how much of the controversy is coming in because she's being portrayed as a real life person.
Right.
I don't know. Again, out of the element a little bit. We don't play League of Legends. I watched a roommate play one time, and I was like, "Whoa, each match takes like an hour. I'm not going to invest that time.
Yeah.
No, thank you." But I don't know if any of the other League of Legends characters have ever been portrayed as real life people. I think that's also an element of it, because there has to be another League of Legends character who has some sort of mental or psychological affliction, or just some kind of anxiety even. It'd be weird if this was the very first one. There are literally hundreds. It's a large cast of characters.
The problem is that there's so much gray area in this. Because as you're talking here, you're talking about there's got to be, like you said, a large cast of characters, a lot of people with a lot of different mental illnesses or struggles or whatever else going on in their life. But how much are these people or these characters drawing people in on an emotional level, on a personal level?
Yeah.
A lot of people were heartbroken when Ruth Bader Ginsburg died.
Sure.
As somebody of note and somebody that they loved, who did a lot of work, particularly for women in the United States, etc. They were heartbroken. If somebody begins to identify with Ruth Bader Ginsburg because of her deeds, but they never actually know her, then their heart breaks when she passes. You can have this exact same thing for a computer character.
Yeah.
Because you'll never actually meet them. You're just looking at their deeds that they have done, reading their tweets online.
A story about them.
Yeah, the story about them. And then you begin to identify with this person. And all of a sudden, I feel like it's emotional manipulation. But where... And it's such a logical fallacy to say, where do you draw the line? But I'm going to say it anyway.
Right.
Where do you draw the line on that? At what point are you manipulating people emotionally or just identifying with them?
What I think... what I also... I'm going to say that I 90% lean toward... This is fine. And in fact, maybe a good thing. That's where I'm leaning right now. Because there is no paywall to knowing this story about her. You don't have to buy the skin to unlock access to her backstory about... Somebody could not even play League of Legends and follow her on Twitter and learn about her anxieties, and it might as well be anybody on Twitter. Nobody's... there might also be an ad on whatever on her posts or something that say, buy this premium skin for $9.99 or whatever. But I think that's where it comes in. It's enjoying her story and buying a skin are separate transactions or separate experiences. You are not obligated. You might be more. You might identify with her more. But I'm going to go back. I know we have made a distinction here between like a pop figure and whatever. But I bought I bought Geralt or a set of Witcher pins, enamel pins.
You did it.
Because I love The Witcher. And I love The Witcher largely because I really love the characters there and really enjoy how they portray, human relationships and just like all of that. I did not have to buy these pins. I'm not angry at The Witcher for using that emotional tactic. If you could call it an emotional tactic, just like you can call that here, because there's still merchandise that's being sold,
right?
And you can play as Seraphine without buying these skins either, as far as I know.
I worry though about, and maybe I'm just overreacting here. That's I'm totally willing to admit the possibility, but the damage that could be done. You understand The Witcher is not real. You know very, very well that he is fake and his adventures are pretend, but you really like the story that was told.
I know they're real in my heart.
But putting Seraphine on Twitter and having her respond to tweets and have conversations with people, and if somebody says, wow, I really struggle with that too, and having them say, man, that's rough. I'm glad somebody is there with me, or having this conversation. All the while, this person isn't real.
Sure.
And what if so-and-so, whoever's behind this, gets fired or quits or becomes the marketing director somewhere else or whatever else, and they bring someone else in and this person's personality is different. And they just converse a little differently. Or what if they have to hire a team and these two people don't do a very good job of balancing their attitudes, and now all of a sudden Seraphine seems like she's got bipolar disorder because she's jumping back and forth, or whatever is going on. Like, how do we evolve this character that people are now identifying with, and at what point do we say we are kind of manipulating people?
I can understand that. And there's on her Twitter, I'm looking at it now, the actual character Seraphine is never portrayed by a human person. There's always drawings of her. Now, there are, weirdly, she has a cat in the fiction. There's pictures of a real-life cat here. It's a weird line to draw, like straddling the line, as well as the fact that what you're saying is kind of not just hypothetical. There are people who legitimately will talk to her as if she is a real person on Twitter, responding to her, not saying like, oh, yeah, man, imposter syndrome. I experienced that as a concept also, marketing team. They legitimately say, hey, Seraphine, thanks for sharing this. This has really helped me through, like legitimately as if she was a real person. And I feel as though we're kind of veering toward the video games equal real life fallacy. Right. But it is a true fact that there are people who interact with her on Twitter as if she were a real person. They're either... I can't really say why. It could just be role play, which is a thing.
Well, what I will say is there is a separation when you play a video game. There is a suspension of disbelief in which you recognize what you are playing is not real.
Sure.
Which is why violence and things like that do not translate into real life when you're playing video games. On the other hand, social media is an incredibly...
That's true. It is a different experience.
100% different. And... to say that your interactions in there are not something that you're going to carry with you in real life is categorically false. Absolutely, your social media interactions impact people.
She is responding.
Yeah.
You're not getting a response from Geralt when you connect with him in The Witcher 3. You're connecting with the story that's being told.
You don't get to sit down with Geralt and be like, hey man, I see that you're struggling with relationship issues with Yennefer. I also struggle with my relationship issues.
I do in my heart.
Hey, can we talk about that for a while?
Yeah.
And to have Geralt be like, yeah, man, that's tough. Let's chat. Where this is a real thing where you can connect and identify with somebody. What happens when, and again, okay, let me finish my thoughts and then we'll get to something else. But what happens when somebody says to Seraphine, I'm thinking of committing suicide. Does Seraphine respond? Or do they say, hey, marketing person, honestly think you should get some help, man, just so you know. Let me step out of character here. Or how do they respond in that situation? Right. How do you balance that? Now, here's what I'll absolutely say. I am talking a lot of what ifs.
We are a little bit on the slippery slope of
yes.
What happens when X terrible thing could happen.
Right. Thus far, I think a lot of good could be done. If you're going to tell me, hey, there's a Twitter account that is run by 6 psychological professionals, therapists, professionals, but they all pretend to be one person. And when you chat with them, this person will just chat with you on Twitter, but also give you really, really good advice and really help you talk through things. I don't care if that person pretend. That sounds awesome. I'm really happy something like that would be happening. So it sounds like this is similar, where this is somebody who is a pretend fake person, but there are people that are being helped by this. And that is a good thing. I think that we're in the arena of the unknown right now, and there is a lot of potential for very serious issues. And that's my concern. So what I will say is, as of right now, I think things seem okay. But there are so many concerns that I have about this.
Sure. I do think we are I think we're getting into a little bit of the what ifs, what about this, what could happen, because as of right, as far as I know, I'm pretty sure it would be in this article, or there'd be an article if something really did happen. I do feel as though the idea of this is a negative thing is a pretty small response. That most people understand that storytelling in marketing is not new. It's actually a very effective way for marketing to take place when you can connect with a story. It's what, like, watch any number of commercials. There's always a story being told. It's never just text information. Even
when we were kids, there were hotlines you could call and you get Mario's voice or Sonic's voice.
Right,
and it would
right,
be like you were talking to this person on the other end. It'd be a pre-recorded message, of course.
You know what I'm just thinking of might be a good analog here is the Transformers cartoon. That cartoon existed to sell the toys.
Right.
It wasn't made out of, like, cool, let's make this cool robot show. There were toys that needed to be sold, and they made a show out of it. People loved the show. The original movie was it's beloved.
It is.
And it doesn't mean you can't connect to them, but also recognize there is manipulation going on.
There were toys before there was a cartoon. They made the toys and they said, we want to sell these toys. Let's make this cartoon.
Right.
That happened a lot at the time.
That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of 80s cartoons. G.I. Joe.
So you're absolutely right.
This is not a new phenomenon.
Yeah. This has been going on forever.
It's just in a much more personal manner. The medium is a much more personal, which could result in a much more personal backlash.
Yes.
And that's why I don't want to say the people that have a negative attitude toward this, I understand. Like that, I am not here to say you are wrong. I do think, though, that it is just the next iteration of a marketing technique that has been used forever.
Yeah.
Where a story is being told to sell a product. Is it kind of creepy and kind of manipulative? Yes, absolutely. I'm not saying it's not. But it is just the new version of something that has existed forever.
I will say this. I think a wise thing to do would be once a month, have a 5 to 10 minute video that is check in with the marketing team behind Seraphine.
Sure, something to break that.
Yep, something to absolutely say, this is a pretend person. Let's all remember that. Mm-hmm. Here's what we've been doing this week. Here's kind of what happened. Here's some of our background takes.
Right.
Here's how we decided how to respond to this. Here's how we decided how to respond to that.
Or mental health things like that.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
hey, we noticed a lot of you are connecting with Seraphine on this. Wanted to let you know that if this is really something that we do recommend, seeing a licensed professional therapist. That kind of thing.
And to absolutely, once a month, break that suspension of disbelief.
Yes,
I guess.
intentionally.
Yeah, intentionally. Remember, this is a fictional person. I think that could help circumvent a lot of issues.
It is only going to help your marketing too.
Yeah.
It is. You are going to get a lot of free press from that, and people are going to like it. Like, they're going to enjoy it.
And if you're going to humanize someone, don't humanize your fictional... I mean, you can't humanize your fictional character, but also humanize your actual employees that are working their tail ends.
Right. They're working to do this.
Yeah, have somebody behind them say, hey, Seraphine kind of went on this journey this past month. That's my journey.
Yeah.
And I'm going to talk to you about it for a little while.
See, that sounds excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of why Hellblade was so good.
Yeah.
Melina Juergens had a lot of her own personal struggles with that she put into the character of Senua. And so I think it could only benefit from something like
100%.
that. Yeah. So, all right. Well, guys, let us know what you think about Seraphine or Seraphine?
Seraphine.
Yeah, Seraphine. Okay. Let us know what you think about Seraphine and her marketing strategy. Let us know what you think about the idea of these fictional characters coming to life in this way with their own social media accounts, with their own anxiety struggles or mental illness struggles or whatever else. Let us know what you think about the whole thing. Thank you so much for your support, for listening. We want to say a really big thank you to Granger for the use of our theme song, All My Friends Have Wi-Fi. Some of my neighbors do too, off of the album Dear Sam. Go check out their stuff. It's really good.
Also check out our YouTube channel.
Or else.
Yeah, or we'll find you. And then gently guide you to our YouTube channel.
Yeah, and then just let you know, hey, it's youtube.com/Doesn'tFoxPlay.
Right, yeah. We've got a lot of content on there right now. Man, the next Assassin's Creed is coming soon.
Ooh.
I'm excited, but my playthrough of Assassin's Creed Origins ends fairly soon. Assassin's Creed Odyssey starts after that. Then we've got our playthrough of Spiritfarer.
Will end a couple days after this comes out.
Ends very soon.
Yeah.
It was a great
so
game. One of our favorite of the year so far.
We begin What Remains of Edith Finch.
Remains of Edith Finch. We're about to start playing that a little bit too, and I'm excited because it's a really interesting game. Not new, but new to us.
Yep.
And so we got a lot up there. Go check out our YouTube channel if you haven't already.
Thanks again, guys, for listening, and always remember that save games, save lives.
See you next week.
My voice sings loud.